This is volume 2 of a video story of Stop Hunger Now, and I'm speaking to Steve Hickel, who is a United Methodist pastor here in the Raleigh area and was the host pastor when Stop Hunger Now moved to Raleigh and began its work here. And we ended the first video on this Eureka question. Something happened in your journey to audaciously try to stop hunger. And you'd mentioned to me once before, that was the year you were the board chairman. So something big's about to happen.
Well,
the movement's about to break loose.
I was on the board by then. I'm not sure I was chairing yet. I would eventually.
Yeah, I knew you chaired somewhere in there when this big issue came along. So tell us, we ended the last video with the stirrings were there. God was, ambition was there with not sure how it would happen.
Out of that experience of several years, the main effort was to find donors, either of cash in order to transport food or donors of food. There wasn't really any way for people, masses of people, to engage in this, to really touch this. And if you think back to what it meant to volunteer to glean sweet potatoes, for instance, that was hands-on. That was something was very satisfying for people.
So you could get a youth group of 50 kids and go out for a Saturday and actually do something, be involved, say, hey, we helped stop hunger.
Not only that, it made them want to do it again. And when you have that repetition, you've moved from just a Saturday morning activity to something more like a movement.
And we're not just doing a single transaction. Well, hey, I did my part, but it's like, wow, there's hungry people, and I could do something, and a transformative thing might happen in their head, which would be your hope anyway. To stop hunger now, it's going to take more than Steve and this merry band of crazies.
And I would hear, Pastor Steve, when can we do that again? So I knew that there was something there. As an organization, I don't know that the whole organization was on this quest, but certainly Ray Buchanan, with that entrepreneurial spirit and his openness to the Holy Spirit, continued to think on these things. And he heard about this group called Kids Against Hunger up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, that had a meal packaging project, a very hands-on way to...
Meal packaging. What's a meal package?
Well, the product, of course, is a bag of, which I should have one in front of us, a bag of rice and soy and dried vegetables and a bunch of vitamins, highly nutritious, something that's durable, something that's easy to transport, something that's usable in all kinds of places.
And you're rattling those off fast, but I can just see the coffee conversations where you guys are saying, wait a minute, if we're going to do this, so you've done a lot of thinking. It needs to be
nutritious.
Yes,
it
right.
It needs to be something that will keep. It needs to be easy to transport. And that was the sort of thing that certainly that this Kids Against Hunger offered. Well, two fellas from there traveled to Raleigh as the board decided, yes, we're going to try this. And we had hired a manager to do it, a young man named Chad, and together they taught us how to package meals, how to set up a tiny assembly line with 4 bins and a funnel in the middle. We even first started out calling it the Funnel Project, feeding undernourished, needy in every land. And it was an assembly line in the round, but all these ingredients went in the funnel and the bag came out. And as we began to do that on that first day, December 10th, 2005, everybody there, 50 people, said, this is just great. Something changed. And
was that the Eureka hour?
That was the hour. Not to plan it, not to hear about it, not to study it anymore, but to stand up around that funnel and do it. And in 2 hours' time, we had produced 20,000 meals. Wow. We were going to
How many people were there the first time?
50 people.
So 50 people made 20,000 meals in 2 hours?
That's right.
You're kidding me.
And it doesn't take but 40 people to make 10,000 meals in 2 hours. Wow. So now, but that group worked hard and cranked those out, and it was just a remarkable moment. And we could all tell that this was important. Well, the board went back to work, and this program began to grow. After a year, we'd exceeded the million meal goal and gone to 1.7 million meals, and suddenly other locations were on the drawing board in Virginia and in eastern North Carolina.
Before you get to all that cool stuff, I just want to back up because my head is excited and spinning about there was this moment when this idea from up north came here, met the right fertile soil, and that aha when the first 50 people did it, that was really the mode to scale, to go from us doing our best to saying, this is something we could easily share with lots of people who might have the desire, but they don't know what we do. They have never tried it. And so that was the Eureka. I'm wondering, and you were starting to tell how it spread, but before we go there, what kind of opportunities or problems that force you as a staff and a board to have to say, oh, wait a minute, was there some rethinking you had to do?
Well, the first thing was that we thought people would donate enough money coming in the door to pay for all of the ingredients and everything that it took to do the program. That was not the case.
Is that the case now, or is it just,
it is
it's a moving,
it is
you've
absolutely
grown
the
to
case
that
now.
Okay.
Because we set a particular price. We gave a price point, which is now 29 cents for a meal. So you can do 10,000 meals for $2,900. It's 29 cents a serving. So that's something you can hang your hat on. And with 4 pennies and a nickel and 2 dimes, you can make a happy face. So that's how you can remember it.
Well, that's really great, Steve. So some things happened. I guess I'm thinking about those. I've known a little bit more about those first 7 years than what we have time to discuss. I know what you're doing now. You know, you would look at those and not think those were twins. Those are kind of different worlds. And yet the same staff and board transitioned from one way of doing it to another. That couldn't have been easy.
No, because we really were moving from relief to more development. We still do some relief, but the long-term development to understand the power of food to transform communities from among children in elementary schools, especially among girls who might not be in school or are likely not to be in school unless there was food there. To understand the support medical clinics can get by having food there.
Clarify something for me. Do you all just scatter the food wherever you find hungry? It sounds like you're doing something more residual. Could you explain that for us?
Exactly right. We partner with groups that have proven themselves on the ground in now 73 countries, which is hard to imagine. They have been able to demonstrate that they can use the food well, that they have a program that can make a difference in the community, like a school, like a clinic, like vocational training, other things that actually transform.
So food is a cornerstone, but it has sort of a cascading effect. Am I hearing you say that?
It is catalytic. It is cathartic. Food is the linchpin. And it drives more kids to school, for instance, and it keeps them in school. And again, especially.
So if we had more room in your logo, it says "Stop Hunger Now, Start More School, More Community." You could just have a logo all the way down your shirt pocket, right?
Yeah, the transformational development was too long for the patch.
Oh, okay.
So okay.
Well, give me a quick sense of from what it was. Where's it at now? How many countries and places? What's your numbers now?
Well, we now have 20 locations around the U.S., 7 more locations in 6 other countries, packaging meals on 5 continents.
That's the capacity creation side.
That's right. 20 in 27 locations around the world. Over 700,000 volunteers have been engaged, and that has been the key to building a movement.
So we're talking 50 people at the first meal, and now we got 700,000 at 27 places around the country.
And probably 300,000 last year alone. You can add to that this year. It's just multiplying and multiplying.
Becoming a movement is both wonderful and challenging. Could you maybe talk about some of the by getting so many volunteers to be able to do something once, what were some of the other benefits that you found by being willing to rethink your way of doing ministry, to open it up for more volunteers? What was the plus? And then maybe what was some of the challenges that you have to build into your staffing, thinking, and programming to deal with that?
First of all, who pays to volunteer? But that was the model. Everybody that volunteers pays for the opportunity to do so. But the third piece is
so come and volunteer. It only costs you 29 cents a meal.
But they volunteer, they pay for it, and then they say thank you. And who else can say that? That those 3 things.
I'm going to be Steve's broker. If you want to learn how to do that in your church, I'll be able to broker that secret for you.
That's
incredible.
So that is a huge difference. But up until this moment, there wasn't a way people who would call the office and wanted to volunteer might have been able to help fold newsletters every quarter. But now there's a way to directly be involved in world hunger, to act locally and have a global impact. And that I say that almost every day. We have a way to act locally and have a global impact.
And the reason that's important is it's not lost on most Americans that we're some of the wealthiest people in the world. When you really look at stats, average, middle class, even poor Americans are up there on the world scale of income. So we know we're rich, but we often don't really know, how do I actually impact the world? So you all have solved a problem for a great many people, which is sort of your vast potential audience, and you still have the hunger issue. Could you summarize for me where we stand with world hunger? Because you said something the other day to me that is kind of shocking. I work at Global Missions. I have problems that I've been dealing with for over 30 years. Sometimes it's discouraging. You get weary in well-doing, but you said something that really encouraged my heart. Could you share that with our folks?
20 years ago, we would have said there were 1 billion people who were really hungry in the world. But that has improved in 20 years by 200 million people. 200 million less people are chronically hungry.
So let's put that into context. America has 330 million residents, so about 2/3 of Americans, had they been hungry 10 years ago, your efforts have essentially taken 2/3 of our country out of hunger on a worldwide basis.
That's right. However, the remaining number that are hungry, about 795 million, is pretty much the population of North and South America. And so that too is a stunning number, and there continues to be just a great deal to do. But we're encouraged because we're not the only people doing this. There are all sorts of movements, and part of our job is to partner together where we can.
Steve, there's so much more to this story. We're going to end it here because I really want you to call Steve, take him to coffee, go tour the Stop Hunger Now for two reasons. One is, I have a full-time job, but I care about world hunger. I really do. And Steve makes it easy for me, my church, my youth group to engage at a number of levels, volunteering, donating from the foundation, bringing it into our Serve Week and getting our people excited. So there's opportunity for all of us. Even your nonprofit and your clients could be a part of that. But the other part is this collaboration. This didn't happen by one man, one woman, one person's idea. It was a team effort. And I know Steve has a team heart and is going to be moving into a season of life when he can help mentor, encourage others to pick up the cause, because we still have 700 million people. 700 million people are still hungry every day, and it's not for lack of enough food. It's for all the reasons that you've learned that we need to overcome. So thanks for taking a while to listen. I know we haven't told you the whole story, but we've told you enough, I hope, to go deeper, and especially the part you can take away to think, ask, pray for God to send that Eureka moment when your ministry might begin to move toward a movement. Steve, thanks so much for taking the time to tell. We really appreciate it. There you go. All right. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you later.